Hi, in today's session we're going to talk about the evolution of GPT. So let's get started. Our agenda for today is going to focus about the history of AI, recent changes that have made it much faster in terms of what's happening with AI, the OpenAI evolution, models that are available, GPT-4 in specific, and then we're going to conclude. So what is artificial intelligence? Based on Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's the capability of machines to imitate intelligent human behavior. So it's really about the intelligence that humans have and how can we mimic it in computer software. And it started quite a long time back. It started in the 1950s. That's when research in AI started. But in recent years, because of the vast computing powers available, it has accelerated dramatically, and hence research and breakthroughs in AI have started to increase. And let's look at OpenAI in particular. OpenAI is a company that is focused on creating AI systems and AI models, and their timeline started in 2016 when they released their first model, OpenAI Gym, and then in 2016 they released Universe, and then in 2018 they released GPT-1, which was the first general pre-trained model that they created. And then in 2019 was GPT-2, and in 2020 was GPT-3, which was the one that started really creating a big bang, I want to say, in the market. One, because they created ChatGPT based on it, and two, because it was very coherent in what it did create. It does create hallucinations or like jargon content that looks very realistic. It doesn't have to be accurate in terms of the factual nature of the data, but it created it in a way that it cannot be, it looks like it's real human content. And then of course GPT-4 was released this year. So when we think about these models, there is three main things that affect them all. One is the processing power. How much computation can you give to create that model? Two is the number of parameters, which you can think of as the levers that change the parameter. And three, the size of training data that is being trained on. And as you see, from 2018 up to 2020, the size of these natural language processing models have increased dramatically. So let's look at some of these models. So these are just some of the recent models. So I'm going to start off with GPT-3 because this is one of the ones that most people know. And it's a few-shot learning with large content model. And it has 175 billion parameters and 300 billion training tokens. Then we're going to look at GLAM, which was developed by Google. And the whole idea of GLAM was to reduce training and inference costs using a sparse mixture of expert models. So again, it's trying to cut the cost and that compute power. Then Megatron, which was developed by Microsoft and NVIDIA, was a huge model. It had 530 billion parameters and 270 billion training tokens. And the whole idea here was more of an infrastructure where how can we parallelize more compute and memory to be able to compute much faster a large amount of content and with a large number of parameters. Google created Lambda, which is a chatbot system based on large language model. It can generate coherent sentences, and it has 137 billion parameters with 168 billion training tokens. And then Gopher was created with a range of model sizes. So it started with smaller model sizes to larger ones. And the whole idea here, DeepMind was trying to see how does accuracy change over these different sized models. And in general, larger models perform better except on logical and mathematical reasoning tasks where the change was not that high. Chinchilla, on the other hand, created a model with only 70 billion parameters with 1.4 trillion training tokens. This was developed by DeepMind. And what they realized was that the current large language models are significantly undertrained because they were able to create very accurate content just by giving it more data, but with less parameters. And then Palm, again generated by Google, was able to actually explain jokes, which is something quite difficult, and best overall performance on benchmarks to date. So when we look at GPT-4, which is the latest model from OpenAI, what we'll see that it's created improved creativity and collaboration. It has advanced reasoning and instruction following. It's able to follow instructions, but also reason around these instructions. It's increased safety and alignment measures. So they've increased the safety model to be able to be more within its boundaries. And it started being used for real-world applications and continuous improvement. Now, having said that, in conclusion, this is not where we stop. GPT-4 is only the start, and we're starting to see GPT-4 being a multimodal, can be utilized for things like image to text, text to image, and other different capabilities that it has. But also, what we're seeing is how do we combine GPT-4 with other things like external sources, for instance, using ChatGPT plugins, or chaining it with other models so that it creates more accurate results, or more factual results, or results based on more recent content than what GPT-4 has been trained on.